Hello, this is Anna Amelia from North East Animal Rights. Today we have Paul and Gemma. Paul is better known as Hench Herbivore of the YouTube channel fame, and also Gemma is a chef and author of cookbooks as well. So it's absolutely fantastic to have you both here. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this.
You're very welcome, Anna. Lovely to meet you at last.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We'll go straight into the questions if that's okay with you. So the first question is, health, fitness and nutrition has been a massive part of your life from quite an early age, and you converted to veganism 9 years ago. So what was the deciding factor in you making this decision?
This one.
So I had some health issues. I've got an autoimmune thyroid condition. I was very sick, and I was just desperate, really, just scouring the internet, looking for answers, things that might help me. And I just stumbled across the idea of a whole food plant-based diet, and I just thought, okay, I'll give it a go. I've got nothing to lose, kind of a thing. I didn't think it was going to be that as great as it was, but within like a week I had energy to stand again, and my mood was improving, and some of the turnaround changes were so quick for me. And then Paul saw how I was thriving, and I said, oh, there's this great book, The China Study, and you read that, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, Gemma said to me, like, she looked quite frightened, and she said, you need to change, after she'd read this book. And then I read the book, and then I was frightened. I was eating more animal products than anyone I've ever met to this day. And it really showed that the more animal products we eat, the sooner we tend to succumb to the diseases of affluence that kill 75% of Westerners. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes. I was eating more animal products than anyone, and I thought, wow, if I keep going in this vein, I'm going to kill myself tomorrow. But being a bodybuilder, I was nervous to change. I didn't see at that time many examples of larger men, strength or physique athletes doing the vegan thing. So tentatively, I went 98% whole foods plant-based. I kept in a couple of servings of meat and fish per week, just in case. I thought, is there other nutrients in there? We've been eating them historically, other nutrients that we do need to get from there. I think I was about 5 months, and then one day I prepared this like burger, and it just didn't taste like food to me anymore. I thought, I don't like this. And I just really read all the science, and I learned that any essential nutrient, either we get it from plants, or we get the precursors from plants, and we, like the animals we consume, make into the essential nutrients. And that was it. I never looked back, and I didn't miss animal products one little bit. I was so grateful not to have to eat them anymore.
So we all get, as vegans, as activists, animal rights activists, we always get the, where do you get your protein, your calcium, your iron from, and everything. Veganism is now mainstream. So how do we continue to push the message out that we get it from plants, because we're still getting the same conversations coming back to us?
I ask people, like, which nutrients do you think you cannot get, from plants? And then I just show them like how easy it is. I use the chronometer app. I plug in the foods. There's so many resources now, like people can share my videos, or there's nutritionfacts.org. There's the documentaries, like.
I might say, well, how much protein do we really need? How much do you need? Do you need more than this man? I think Paul's just the living, breathing example of the protein one for sure. Like, you're not going to usually need more than he does, and he's getting it all from plants.
Seeing is believing, isn't it, at the end of the day? So be the change and live by example, I think, is a huge thing we can do. We wrote a cookbook, and we called it "Where Do You Get Your Protein?" because that's such a typical question. We thought, okay, well, let's not just make another cookbook, let's have it about protein. So the start of the book is all about how much do you really need, the misconceptions, etc., and then 30 recipes that all are high in protein, even like desserts, like they've all got a good amount of protein, just to show it's so easy. There's no worry,
I do love seeing that the posts you put on about your food, your recipes and everything. They look absolutely delicious, and they look really easy to make as well. So I think it's right about it by example. I mean, obviously vegan, the food is the biggest hook, really, isn't it? It's kind of like getting and if you get people salivating over the food, it's a big way in.
That's some activism I would often employ. I would always make a point to eat my post-workout meal in the foyer at the gym, and it'll be lots of different colours. It'll be lovely smells, like the chili and like all the lovely, smells and flavours. And pretty much every single day, without fail, someone would say that looks amazing. And I will say, oh, did you know there's 40 grams of protein, there's 50 grams of protein here, and it's just beans and quinoa, and it's a great way of activism.
Yeah, it is. It is. So do you get frustrated? Were you working in an industry that nutritionists are still using the animal route for bulking up? And how do you work to address this issue?
Yeah, I think if I did get frustrated by that, I'd be at the end of my tether after 9 years. I recognise it for what it is, and like we've all been lied to. Like I believe the same old nonsense, and again, it's just being one of the biggest, strongest guys in the gym and thriving. You can't argue with what's in front of your face, you know.
Yeah. I had a conversation actually with someone via Facebook post about that sort of thing. You were saying, so, you know, the typical skinny vegan, pasty vegan sort of thing, and I'm like, look at Hench Herbivore, look at Pat Baboumian, you know, look at all these really strong, you know, really healthy looking men, you know. Talking of which, there's the next question. So Jason Momoa, okay. Quite a few ladies in my group, including me, really like Jason Momoa. He's just released a vegan range of trainers, and he does masses of work for the environment, but he's not currently vegan. Now he's apparently quoted as saying that he eats meat because he needs to bulk up. So if you were having a conversation with him, what would you be saying to him to persuade him to ditch animals?
Well, number one, you can't be an environmentalist and be a vegan. Like the two do not marry, do they? Like being vegan is the biggest thing you can do in so many ways, you know, to lessen our impact on the planet. So that's huge. I would say, have you not seen the film Game Changers? Patrick Baboumian, you mentioned. He is in the Guinness Book of Records for being the man to carry the most weight on the planet. He is the strongest man to carry weight on the 555 kilos for 10 meters in the yoke work. He's the strongest man on the whole planet to carry something, and he's vegan. Like, you know, there's many other examples. Jahina Malik, she's been vegan since birth. She makes me look scrawny. She's got muscles on top of muscles. Lee Delgado, and many other IFBB pros. The top tier premier bodybuilding federation has got vegans in it. It's, you know, protein. Only plants make protein. Specifically, they make the amino acids. They make it from atmospheric nitrogen. We and the animals we choose to eat, we merely recycle these amino acids and we make them into whichever proteins we require. We make 2 million different proteins. We don't need to eat muscle to make muscle. We don't need to eat eyes to make eyes. We don't eat hair to grow hair. It's the building blocks, whether it's tofu or beef, we chew it up, we digest, we break it down into its constituent amino acids again, which were made by the plants in the first place. You know, they go through the wall of the small intestine into the bloodstream, and we then build them up into, as I say, whichever protein we require. To eat meat for muscle, it's like eating mud because you're after the water. You don't need all the, I shan't swear, the bad stuff that comes with it. It's going to clog up your arteries. It's going to hurt your sports performance. Jason Momoa, he's in his 40s now, like me. Younger people, you know, athletes, we can get away with eating any old junk and thrive and be world class. Into middle and older age, now we're seeing that the vegan athletes are taking off and they're at the head of the pack. So I would really urge people to look at veganism, and it's so anti-inflammatory, it's so great for recovery, and we don't need meat for protein. The protein comes from plants. So
Jason, if you're listening, right, listen to him, he knows what he's talking about.
I'll give you my cookbook for free.
Excellent. So I watched a YouTube video about vegan cats with great interest. Because this is something which has always sort of been quite, it's a big debate in the vegan world. You can't be a vegan if you're feeding your cat, you know, meat and everything. And obviously we know that that dogs can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet. So I was very interested because it is so controversial. So how much do you think this study vindicates those who are feeding the cats plant-based food, and how much more work do you think it's going to take before it's accepted for cats as it is for dogs?
I think it vindicates us hugely. It's the biggest ever study on vegan cat food and like health outcome. Now, Professor Andrew Wright, he's a specialist in animal welfare at the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons, and he says it echoes all other studies. He had a look through the data and he could not find a single study that said a complete vegan cat food, so not just feeding plants, but complete vegan cat food that's been specifically manufactured for cats to thrive. There is not one negative study, not one. In this latest study, they looked at 11 different diseases and things that cats can suffer with. Now, only in one way did the non-vegan, the meat-based food outperform the plant-based, and that was only by 0.2%, and that is in terms of, I've got the study up here right now, neoplasia. So tumor growth, that may be benign or it may be malignant, but there was virtually no difference. In 3 ways, the vegan cat food outperformed the meat-based cat food. The hepatic, so that's liver disease risk was, where am I? Sorry, 1 second. Hepatic. It was 2.6% of the vegan cats had liver disease. 13% of the meat-based cats had liver disease. Renal, so kidney, many times, about 5 times better for the vegan cats. And then there was less chance of obesity in the vegan cats too. So Professor Andrew Knight, he said there is no reason at this point not to feed your cats a complete vegan cat food, but it must be complete. Complete means that they've sourced the arachidonic acid, the taurine, all the things that a cat needs. They've sourced it from plants and it's pH balanced for their specific, like chemical needs.
So we met the founder of Benevo.
Yeah.
He created vegan cat food, and that's what we fed our cats.
16 years ago, he created this cat food.
And he made a good point. He was saying, well, if there was something missing in the food, within a few months, your cat would become very sick. And our cats had been on a plant-based diet for, vegan diet for many years.
7 years now.
So, we were like, okay, this is good stuff. And then another thing that really made sense to me was the thought that what we were feeding them before was, it was like cans of meat, but it was animals they'd never eat. They'd never, hunt a cow or catch a salmon, and it's all the leftover bits, the disease, dying, decayed bits that humans won't eat or wouldn't like to eat. It's heated, so the taurine's destroyed, so they add that back in with a synthetic, supplement. So it's not ideal for them in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're going from something really ideal to something really not. It's really not ideal that the food that we usually feed them anyway.
I see my hypocrisy because as a nutritionist, I prescribe what I believe is species-specific whole foods plant-based for humans. Yeah. With the cats in my care, yes, I'm providing a processed food, and that doesn't sit well, So I recognise my own hypocrisy. But if people are feeding stuff out of cans and they're not dry biscuits out of a box, and then they're criticising me, well, those in glass houses is, what I would say to that.
I think, to be honest, when you talk about the hypocrisy angle, I think that we've got to recognise that cats are the domestic cats we have are in an artificial environment. They're not cats in the wild, so they're very, very different to wild cats. And also, as vegans, we can't really be sort of like advocating killing other animals to feed, particularly when you're saying obviously like cows and when you have the turkey and everything. The cats don't go out and kill cows. They don't go out and they would never do that. I mean, the most I've seen is in Julie Galatti's, when she did the expose of I think it was Flatwood, when there was dying pigs and the feral cats were eating, they're basically scavengers. They don't go out and kill these big animals. So I think it's a good, I am going to use some of the information from this study, because we do get kind of like all cats are the obligate carnivores. You have to do that.
It's really something that people go on about, obligate carnivores. And yes, that's true. If there was no such thing as man-made products, they would be obligate carnivores. However, so obligate means, the prefix means that an animal must eat meat. But sorry, where was I going with that? I just had a little brain fart. It's only the nutrients that are essential. No food is essential. It's the nutrients, it's the vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids, the essential fatty acids. These are what are essential. And now man has sourced these nutrients from plants, packaged them. It's not that meat is essential, it's nutrients that are essential. So I would say that to try and put people's minds at rest.
So what does your daily food intake look like? So what, are you still enjoying food? Because I know obviously food is a tool for your trade. So do you kind of ever think, oh, I've got to I've got to have all of this sort of stuff, or are you still enjoying making it and eating it?
Yeah, I think you always enjoy food. When I've been on a bulk in the past and I'm trying to do it with mostly whole foods, it does get a chore, like eating all the food. So that's the only time it becomes a bit of a chore. But like a normal bodybuilder, eating meat and things, like that's never going to be healthy. And so, if you wanted to be a bodybuilder, but you didn't want to have to stuff in loads of whole food, you can use like seitan and stuff and make it very easy and doable. So I don't want to kind of put people off.
Yes.
But
I mean, I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, because I create cookbooks, so I can be in there for hours some days, you know, but it's the best job I've ever had though. You know, I'm creating things and I'm not having to work for someone else and for their agenda. I know I'm creating something that's going to be influential in the world. And occasionally, you know, someone will say something like, oh, my little girl made your chickpea blondies from your book and she likes those and it's not eating chocolate bars. And that makes me feel really emotional, like, oh, that's great. Like, you know, people eating these healthy things that they think taste good, but it's good for their bodies. And that's, you know, I like creating for that reason, you know.
In terms of what we do eat, it's a lot of legumes, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds with all the herbs and spices. You know, these are the healthful foods which make us have a long, happy, healthy life. So what are some kind of meals? Breakfast, smoothies?
Porridge. I mostly have porridge, you know.
Avocado toast.
Smoothie.
Chia pudding, really simple. We've just collaborated with a company called Exotic Fruits UK, and every week they send us an exotic fruits hamper, so we've been enjoying some tropical fruit salads.
It's been very fun. So like, you know, for lunch I'll make like a Buddha bowl or a curry or something from one of our cookbooks to help promote it, you know, on Instagram or whatever, like tuna chickpea mayo on a jacket potato, all different things really. And then I often do batch cooking, so I'll make a big pot of something like a chili or a stew, and then we eat that for lunch for like 3 or 4 like days or whatever. So that saves me being in the kitchen so much. We're a big fan of making like chips, oil free, just cut up some potatoes and then make a dip to go with it, like a hummus or something.
So you can still have sort of naughty tasting things.
And
it don't take long. If you take the oil out, within a couple of times of eating it that way, you then enjoy you can actually taste the food better. And if someone did put oil in, you kind of find it greasy and heavy and you don't enjoy it so much. But people, not many people have gone that route yet, have they really? You know, and that's a shame because, you know, as I say, I went vegan for health initially. Really, I went whole foods, plant-based, and you know, people are just not getting that. Heart disease is still the biggest killer of vegans. You know, it's still the biggest killer. So it's not just a matter of being vegan. Being vegan, you're not hurting animals and you're not hurting the environment so much. Great, but not a lot of people realise some of the replacement products may be as harmful as some of the animal products, and I just think that's a shame. So the more we can stick to legumes, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs and spices, and stay away from refined oil, refined sugar, a lot of salt, you know, processed like flours and just stuff out of boxes, you know, just the better we'll be. And not only, if you can't do it for yourself, I mean, you deserve great health because you're doing a great thing for the animals, but I would also say it's not always the message that's so important. Oftentimes it's the messenger. And if we're like terribly overweight or terribly like underweight, or if we're terribly sick all the time, that's not a good message. And we're herd animals, like we're tribal, you know, and we need to make our little club look really attractive. You know, we need to be in great. Not everyone's going to do it. Not everyone can. So I'm not having a go at anyone. But if you have the ability to, the better shape you're in, the happier, the healthier, the more vibrant, the more engaged, the more we're going to look like a club that people will want to join. And I think that that's critical to get people on board.
Well, talking about this obviously this club we are creating. I mean, you know, the sort of veganism is catching on in the sports world quite you know, quite well now. I mean, obviously we've got. I mean, I don't follow football at all, but my team is Forest Green Rovers. I think that it's just the idea of it is absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
The whole principle of, you know, like vegan athletes, and you know, I mean, I know we have like plant-based athletes as well. So, so do you think that the sporting world are kind of catching on to it now? And you know, I mean, what else can the sporting world do? Because it's not, I wouldn't say it's mainstream in football. It is mainstream in things like you said, powerlifting, weightlifting, that sort of thing, and sort of bodybuilding, and people are kind of catching on. But in the normal rugby and football type of, you know, the televised stuff, less so.
Sorry, you're going in a couple of different directions there. Was that just the actual question?
I was just sort of saying about, you know, what does the sporting world and the health world need to do? Do you think they're catching on to the health benefits? What do they need?
I think we just need to see more examples, basically, and I think it's happening. Obviously, like the Game Changers movie has been huge. With my channel, you know, I find people like rugby players and, you know, all different sporting types, and I've been interviewing them and sending the videos out, and I think it is happening. I think it's happening quicker, maybe in the sporting sector. Like you said, plant-based rather than vegan. Athletes are seeing the benefits to their performance.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people get upset if you don't use the word vegan. My perspective is I will use whatever phrasing better fits this particular person so that I can get them on board. The animals don't care whether you stop eating animals, you know, for ethics sake or for sports performance. They're not getting eaten. And over time, you know, for me, like I said, I went whole foods plant-based for my health. It was really a couple of years. I was researching recipes. Accidentally, I saw what we do to animals, and my heart shattered. I couldn't believe that I was complicit in such an evil. I saw that they fear like us, like, you know, they run from violence. They scream under the knife just like I do. And I saw their faces, and it was heartbreaking. But, you know, had I have not been whole foods plant-based, I would never have been looking at that video. So whichever way we get in, as long as we do it. So yeah, whatever works.
I mean, we always say that plant-based is purely the diet part of it, but it is a part of veganism. Veganism is like the wider lifestyle, but it doesn't really matter how we get into it, because eventually it's highly unlikely you will just stay plant-based. Most people get into the rest of it later on. I mean, we have members in our group who got into it. Laura got into it for health. Kevin got into it for health as well, and both of those are you know, the biggest advocates, the biggest animal advocates we have in our group. You know, they're very vocal, they're very, very switched on, they do the research and everything, you know. So I think actually how the initial hook gets you, it doesn't really matter, because eventually you will get the whole, you know, hopefully you'll get the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I've got a very specific question for one of our members, Gary. Okay, wants to know, how did you get so big, and what supplements do you use, and have you noticed a difference in your health since you changed to veganism?
Right, there's a few questions there. Let me try and unpack it in my mind. First of all, the number one thing, how do you get so big? Priority. And well, the word is sacrifice. Yeah. The more you can get your sleep in order, so you're not having late nights, you're not staying up playing computer games, you're not going out partying, like drinking. You're sticking to your diet, you're not eating these more tempting like donuts and things. You know, you're not got so much time to squander messing around. You're focused, you're eating like these 5 times a day, you're at the gym here, you know, and you're not wasting energy and doing negative lifestyle practices. So the more you want it and the more you make it priority and you sacrifice pretty much all else, the more likely you're going to get your goal. And if it's not so important to you, you're just not going to do it. You're going to goof off, you're going to have a laugh, and that's all right. Maybe it's not for you. So it's really sacrifice is my biggest key takeaway. And of course it's nutrition. It's eating a bit more calories than you're burning. Being
a bit hungry all the time. Sorry, not
being full, being stuffed all the time, feeling a bit sick. Protein wise, you only need about 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight per day. So for me, that's about 200 grams. So it's not actually a whole lot, but you must get that, you know, to be optimized. Sorry, there was 1 or 2 other questions there. Oh, supplements, yeah. So supplements, you're good, aren't you? Supplements wise, the judicious use of a quality protein powder can be useful for a larger strength or physique athlete. So I recommend the Vivo Life one. Okay, it's a processed food, so it's not optimal in terms of health like a whole food. However, they third-party test for over 500 different contaminants. It's organic, it's all natural, it's good stuff. So I use a couple of scoops of that. Creatine, I use the Vivo Life one as well, which is micronized, so that works a bit better. 30% of people are non-responders. If they take creatine, their body weight won't go up. You should go up 4 or 5 pounds for most people if you're a responder to creatine, meaning that you're volumizing your muscles, you're filling your muscles up with water, so making them mechanically stronger. Other than that, I don't really rate any other supplements particularly. Of course, as a vegan, we need your B12 or D3. D3, it lowers our sex hormone binding globulin to free up more testosterone. So of course that's going to have muscle building benefits. So that's a very good supplement to include. Is that
what benefits have you noticed?
What benefits? You're really on the ball today. Benefits, less pain. So I would be out from the gym for about 3 weeks with like screaming tendonitis. So I would have to kind of, when I was back in the gym, I'd be icing my biceps tendon on the way, icing it between reps, and after I'd be in agony. The minute I went whole foods plant-based, that just went away because it's so anti-inflammatory. So that's been huge. More energy, faster recovery, better sleep. Sleep's like huge. You need to sleep well in order. That's when you repair.
Your hay fever went, didn't it?
My hay fever went away. That's not bodybuilding now, but no more hay fever. My eyesight's more than twice as strong, but that doesn't help your lifting. But yeah, is that the gist of it?
Yeah, I mean, you used to come back from the gym and have to take a nap.
Yeah.
You know, now you're just like raring to go, like from when you get up to when you go to bed.
I would get to the end of my workout and crash out and feel horrible. Now I feel like I could keep going, and I know that's not how bodybuilding works. Like abbreviated best. Like you get in there, it's like a series of sprints. You hit it really hard for a short time, then you have a nice long rest. But I don't want to. I'm like so enjoying my training, and I feel like I've got the energy. I know better, but yeah, I'm just having such a lot, thriving in the gym. I love it. I suggest everyone give it a go.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely brilliant. So in terms of animal rights activists who you follow, do you follow anybody particularly, or do you whose approach you like, you know, particularly?
Yeah. We chatted about this before, and we both came up with the same two people. So Earthling Ed, they're both our two favourites. I think Joey I relate to, like we've both had a checkered past, which we're now trying to make up for. And I love his no BS, like direct approach and his passion. And then Earthling Ed is so eloquent and so non-egoic. I've seen him talk an angry farm around, and he can do that. And I will watch him and I will think, oh, maybe I should focus on the animal rights issue and learn to not get angry. It's so much work though. And I've kind of learned, really, I thought he's amazing at what he's doing, but as good as he is, he will never talk like a meathead bodybuilder around, whereas I can. So I thought, Paul, stay in your lane. You know, we're doing the sports performance, we're doing the health. I'm really clued up on them, and I think I can talk anyone around on that. And if someone's telling me that it's humane to kill animals, I'll send them an Earthling Ed video.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I mean, the two you've mentioned there, Earthling Ed, Peter Regan as well. I mean, obviously appealing to different types of activists and audiences as well, but he's lovely. But Joey Carbstrong, again, very, very different approach to Earthling Ed. But I think, like you said, Earthling Ed's very articulate. It's much more the academic approach. Joey Carbstrong's much more in your face. But they both have a lot of success. So it's really working what they're doing, you know. And I think you're right saying that you are an expert in your field, and it's a massive area to cover. It's a huge area on its own, and we need people like you to keep on pushing the health and the nutrition part of it as well. You know, I don't want Earthling Ed to suddenly start bulking up and then kind of, you know.
Exactly.
That just wouldn't work. So what's next for you then?
Well, yeah, we've got some real huge, exciting plans on the horizon. I think the COVID thing has kind of scuppered things a little bit. We're not really allowed to say too much. We had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but a lovely couple got in touch with us, and they liked the way that we were doing things, and they want to help sort of back us, and they're quitting their jobs to you know, just do the vegan thing. And so yeah, we're meant to be going into business. So again, I can't give really specifics, but we're going to use kind of celebrity and technology. We're going to leverage that to really bring veganism up to the next level, and to be able to make it more accessible, kind of meet people where they're at. Like there's certain things we're going to be, it's multifaceted, and we're going to be able to help them to be vegan more easily. And
probably can't say any more than that. But because you were saying that this might not be out straight away, this video. So by the time it is out, we'll probably have a course done. We're working on a course together. So this is a different thing. This is a different thing. Yeah, we're always doing stuff. So it's about like how to eat plant-based successfully. So how to thrive. You know, everything you need to know, whether you're a new vegan or you've been vegan a long time, just everything to be successful at the diet. Diet side of things and health wise, and if you want to, you know, lose fat or gain muscle, just very well-rounded course, all videos. So yeah, that should be out by the time this comes out. Yes.
It's, you know, as a pair, we have got so much energy. I mean, you're an absolute, you know, you're brilliant role models for veganism. You really are.
Thank you.
Because you know your stuff. You're so approachable, and it's just absolutely fantastic what you both are doing. So I'm going to finish off now. So I would like to say thank you very much to both of you, to Hench, Paul, and to Gemma for giving up your time today to talk to us. This is Anna Amelia for North East Animal Rights saying thank you very much and goodbye for now. Okay.